Welcome to the tutorial on how to use Audacity to record your sermons. There are a couple settings you want to make sure you have set up before you start recording. And if you've already recorded some but your files are a little too large to upload to your website, then we'll talk about those settings as well. Our goal here is to get the highest quality possible for our recordings, but have the files as small as possible so that we can upload them to our website. The problem with having large files on your website is people have to wait for the downloads, or when we upload those, depending on which tools we're using to upload them, sometimes we'll have some timeout issues. So we want to make the files as small as possible for obvious reasons, but not degrade the quality beyond the point of where people would be bothered by the sound quality. So a couple of settings you want to be aware of. In Audacity, if you go to Preferences, under your Quality tab, you have a default sample rate and a default sample format. These are the two settings that you want to be aware of. Your sample rate needs to be one of the multiples of 11,025 Hertz. So either 11,025, 22,050, or 44,100. You want to select from one of those three. I would recommend trying 11,025 Hertz to begin with, just to see what the quality is like. For most people who are just recording talking, 11,025 would be fine. If you're recording a concert or a band or some type of music or singing, then you're going to want to do something a little higher on that sample rate, 22,050 or 44,100, or even higher for hi-fi quality recordings. But for just talking, lectures, sermons, and those types of things, the 11,025 will probably be fine as your default. So you can go ahead and select that. Also, on your default sample format, you want to set that to be 16-bit. Again, the lower the number, the lower the quality, but also the smaller file size. So as long as our quality isn't noticeable, then using 11,025 and 16-bit is fine. So some of that's going to determine on the hardware you're using when you're doing your recording, as far as your microphone and that type of thing. So give those a try and see if that'll work for your recording. Now you can always record at a higher rate and reduce it down later. The other setting you want to be aware of is your file formats, and this is how you save the files after you bring them in and edit them in Audacity. When you save them as an MP3, you have a setting down here for your bitrate. What you want to do is set that as low as possible. A default typically is probably 6432 when you install the MP3 encoder in Audacity. But go ahead and set that to 16, and that should be sufficient for recordings of sermons and lectures and other talking type things. So go ahead and set that to 16. We'll click OK. So I already have a sermon loaded here, and what we can do is just go up to File, and now we can export as MP3. Now, this will be grayed out if you have not downloaded and installed the MP3 encoder inside of Audacity. And you can go to Audacity's website to download that. Just look for the MP3 LAME encoder, and it's a simple install. So if your export as MP3 is grayed out, that's what you need to do. But after you get that installed, we can export as MP3, and then we name our file and click Save, and then you will have a file that should be small enough size that then you can upload to your website.